Tennessee pretty much plays 3 wide receivers throughout a series and throughout a game. Now, throughout a series, it's so the other team can't sub. So I'm going to start with that. You're not suggesting subbing during drives, correct?
No, I'm not. I don't think Tennessee can sub during drives on offense with how they do it. I'm not suggesting that at all.
Right. That would completely throw off the tempo. So what you're suggesting is other guys in the rotation on different drives, correct?
Right. And I'm not suggesting that. I'm just raising the question, not to gaslight, but I'm just asking questions, bro.
Yeah, I would say if it ain't broke, don't fix it at this point. And you and I have said before that we thought David Cutcliffe, when he came back to Tennessee, one of his major strong moves was the fact that he limited it to a small receiver rotation. I, in general, prefer small receiver rotations. As a matter of fact, I can't remember the last great team that I thought, wow, they go 5 receivers. I guess that Clemson team. You remember the Clemson team that had T. Higgins and had Amari Rodgers, and it seemed like they had 15 receivers. But other than that, can you remember a great team that had more than 2 or 3 good receivers?
No, I've always believed. Now, people say this about quarterbacks, and I'm not saying it's not true with quarterbacks, but I have always kind of believed that old saying where if you have 5 receivers, you don't have any receivers. And I mean, I kind of go through history and look at it, and most teams I've covered that were very, very, very successful, they had a clear go-to guy. They had I guess you would call them a complement on the other side. And then they would have a slot guy that, stretches the field. And I've never seen more than that. And I think that, just to give you an example, was one of the biggest things Nick Saban wanted when he hired Lane Kiffin. Remember, they were adjusting the offense and turning up the tempo. But he loved the way Lane Kiffin zoned in on a go-to receiver. And how many receivers, and since that time, from 2014, did you guys notice the rest of Nick Saban's career, Alabama never had more than one clear-cut go-to receiver over everybody else?
No, and some great ones had to sit and wait, not to the extent that the running backs did at Alabama. That sitting on the bench got to be an Alabama tradition for running backs. But do you think Tennessee has the receivers to demand more playing, more getting on the field? And we're not talking about the second half in garbage time when Gaston Moore's out there, okay? We're talking about real gameplay when the game is still in question.
Well, here's a recruiting factor I would ask these receivers if they want to demand more playing time. And this is the truth. Would you rather go somewhere you can play now and spend your whole career just splitting reps with 5 or 6 other guys and never having a chance to separate yourself? Or riding the bench here for a year or two, and then when you get on the field, you will get so many touches, you'll have better stats than anybody else in college football?
Well, when I say demand, I don't mean that they're going to go to the coach and say, by God, I got to play. I mean, do they have enough talent that it demands getting them on the field? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. But no, I've never really been one who believes in that. I've never believed in like put it this way. You're a car guy. If you got a BMW and a Ferrari, the talent, the car collection doesn't demand that you
check the oil is the answer. Go ahead.
Yeah, the quality, the flashy car collection doesn't demand that you try to drive a different one every day. Sometimes you still maybe just drive the same BMW to work every day.
I drive the same Audi every single day. I think I'll differ with you a little bit. I think they had the depth to demand it, but I don't think Josh Heupel likes demands. And I don't think that he's going to do it just because he has a lot of wide receivers. So we think the starters are going to be who? You tell me that first, and then we'll go from there. I remind you, TriStar hats, for the latest in TriStar hats, all you have to do is go to tristarhatsco.com, tristarhatsco.com, and that's the original hats, apparel, and more. Use the promo code HOOKED for 10% off, HOOKED for 10% off. So I look at the starters, and well, let me ask you first, who do you think the starters will be?
So there are 2 clear-cut starters for me. One is Brew McCoy at wideout.
Sure.
And the other, and we're going to talk about him in a minute, is Squirrel White in the slot. The battle is for the who's going to be the other wideout to complement Brew McCoy to play the role that Ramel Keaton played in 2022. And actually, Ramel Keaton was forced to be the go-to receiver last year, but the role Ramel Keaton played in 2021 and 2022 when he complemented Cedric Tillman and then Brew McCoy. That's going to be the question.
I mean this with all due respect to Ramel Keaton. He wouldn't be able to make this team, and he wouldn't be able to make a team in 2 or 3 years. I'm looking at their roster. There are 5, 6 guys that are more talented than him. No offense, he did everything right, but if they're going to be more explosive than Ramel Keaton.
Oh, I totally agree with you on that. I mean, you're not going to hear me debate you on that. But to play the role of Ramel Keaton, there are 3 guys that I think are in the fight for it, and they are Dante Thornton, Chris Brazel, and Mike Matthews. Now, Mike Matthews is the best of the 3. Chris Brazel is probably the one most prototypically designed to play that role, because you would consider him a hands guy, right, Dave? A hands receiver?
Yes, but an overall talent as well. My 3 would be McCoy, Brazel, White. Those would be
okay.
My
So you
3.
think Brazel? That's what I mean. You think Brazel's going to win that wideout role on the other side?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Over Dante Thornton.
Surprisingly, yes. I think Dante Thornton is going to end up being a bit of a utility wide receiver that could slide in the slot or play on the outside. I think in the end, he could be more valuable, even though we got so high on him and thought he was just going to be incredible. He could be more valuable as a utility player than he is explosive as an incredible athlete. I just think his role has changed in a year.
I'm not really going to debate you on that, but I don't know if that works. It's funny. You talked about going like 5 or 6 deep. Sometimes I think you can be good at too many things or have too many options, and then you can't own in on one option, and it makes you hard. Just an example, a great one, sports analogy here. LeBron versus Michael Jordan. LeBron is a more versatile player than Michael Jordan. But Dave, I actually think that ends up costing LeBron sometimes, because I don't think he's able to fully commit to being really, really great at one aspect on a team, and then they put the other players around him to fill the other voids. I think that's hurt LeBron.
Well, yeah, but Caleb, with Dante Thornton in particular, I didn't think he was a good fit for the slot. I just thought they needed a slot in 2023. So, I mean, he looks like an outside receiver to me the moment I see him. So, I'm not sure. Go ahead.
If they didn't think they needed if they thought they needed a slot in 2023, then Josh Heupel deserves a massive indictment against him for his player analysis. Again, his evaluation of talent. It was very obvious Squirrel White was a perfect fit for that offense in the slot. And then they moved him back into the slot in the middle of the season and realized, oh, yeah, he should have been here all along. And the fact that he missed on that is as much of an indictment as him picking Joe Milton over Hendon Hooker.
I think they fell in love with Dante Thornton's physical ability. And for right or wrong, I think that led to more plays for Dante Thornton. In the end, though, he showed that before he got hurt that he has some pretty good upside. So I think Tennessee's receivers are in really good shape. We haven't even mentioned the tight ends. We'll get to that.
Production matters more than abilities, and it's time to accept that. Josh Heupel is probably a guy who would think that Joey Kent was better than Peerless Price.
I don't know about that. Portions of the program brought to you by Sports Treasures, Knoxville's oldest sports card shop. 35 years in North Knoxville. Follow them, Sports Treasures TN on Facebook, Sports Treasures TN, or just follow us on offthehooksports.com, and I share their stuff all the time. It's absolutely fantastic. You will love Sports Treasures and what they've got going on. A whole lot of fun. And I'll remind you that they're a big part of what we're doing with Hooker's Corner as we give away monthly prizes. We gave away a John Henderson mini helmet that was autographed by the all-time great, but we've got more than that to give away. As a matter of fact, picking up a prize today. I'll tell you what it is tomorrow. Join Hooker's Corner for just $9.98, and you will be eligible to win those prizes, get increased recruiting coverage, and also you will be able to have more interaction with me and Caleb. Now, you can click on that QR code, and you can join for free, or you can join for $9.98, which will get you eligible to win that monthly prize. Now, if you join for free and you're subscribed to the station, you're a part of Rick Terry's Grade 8 Garmin Challenge. Rick Terry's Grade 8 Garmin Challenge brought to you by Rick Terry Jewelry Design. Rick Terry Jewelry Design will provide a Garmin watch worth over $1,000 to be given away once we hit 8,000 subscribers. You have to be a member of Hooker's Corner, free. You have to be subscribed to this channel, free, and you're good to go. Rick Terry with the Fire Opals. There's nobody like him in town. He is a fine craftsman that treats his customers fairly. So you need to check out those Fire Opals because they are affordable game day jewelry that absolutely look fantastic.